In my first year of university, I remember looking for a pre-workout stimulant, and I did like what most people did, just looked online, and I came across this pre-workout with unbelievable reviews. You might remember the name of it. It was called Jacked, and it was spelled Jack 3D. Oh my god, this stuff, right, if you hadn't tried it before, was insane. It was the best pre-workout I've ever tried before, and I'm absolutely hooked on it as soon as I have my first scoop. I'm having these insane pumps and my strength's going through the roof. I'm training for 2 hours, literally bouncing around the gym like a kid with ADHD. Now, if you're fortunate enough to discover Jack, understand what I mean, that this shit was honestly like doing a line of amphetamine followed by a bomb of MDMA. It was that powerful. Mum, I'm not even gonna apologize because I know you've done way worse than MDMA. As the years went on, people actually died taking Jack 3D, and eventually Jacked got banned. So desperate to kind of try and find a replacement pre-workout, I turned to coffee. And the trouble was, because of my Jacked kind of addiction, my tolerance to caffeine was super high. And for the next maybe 2 to 3 years, I was easily knocking back 3 or 4 coffees a day, which probably doesn't sound like much, but it gets worse, trust me. Because shortly after graduating from university, I started working in the fitness industry. Now, for anyone who's not in the fitness industry, caffeine is often glorified for its, I guess, performance enhancing benefits. So I knocked coffee back literally like a dehydrated camel knocks back water. So I've got to say, admittedly, over the years, I've probably taken on a lot more caffeine than the average person. In fact, I actually cringe when I look back to when I was doing my photo shoot back in 2018. I was taking almost a gram of caffeine per day for the best part of 9 months. To give you some context, that's almost double the recommended safe dose. And in those years when I was doing my photo shoot, that's when shit hit the fan. You know, all of a sudden, I kind of built up this really unhealthy relationship with caffeine, and my brain changes. I start overthinking things. I start creating made up kind of what if future scenarios in my head. And looking back, these things that I was creating up in my head were absurd. It was almost like a very mild form of, I guess, paranoia. But the worst part was when I was having a conversation with someone. I'm sure you probably know what I mean. My mind just wasn't there. I was never present or in the moment, and I was just constantly thinking about my to-do list when I was having conversations with people. And this obviously made me feel anxious because I always felt like there weren't enough hours in the day, and I felt like anyway, that I was constantly chasing my tail. And you've probably got this before, but I'd always get this kind of knot in my stomach that just wouldn't go away for days. And weirdly, this knot got more intense after I drank caffeine. But the worst part of drinking so much caffeine was heart palpitations and chest pains, to the point where one night when I was watching television with my girlfriend, honestly, I nearly called the doctor because I genuinely felt like my heart was going to burst out of my chest. Now, let me just say, I haven't got an agenda against coffee or caffeine in that case. It was actually only a few years ago that me and my friend opened up a coffee shop inside the gym that we were working at, but constantly feeling like I was on edge and rushing around and chasing my tail. I just knew that my brain and my body was trying to tell me something. And that's exactly why 15 months ago I decided to part ways with a brand bean, and that is caffeine. I can honestly say that kicking caffeine to the curb, I think maybe life-changing is a strong word, but I'd say my quality of life has improved. I'm going to share with what's improved in this video today. And one of those things is I don't get that mid-afternoon crash anymore where I'm zapped of energy, and that knotty feeling of kind of anxiousness is gone, and fearing the worst very rarely happens anymore. I can focus for longer. I'm sleeping like a baby. I wake up feeling fresh and energized, and my mind feels a lot more present, a lot calmer, and I'm not kind of thinking about the next thing on my to-do list. And as a result, I'm building better connections. I'm building better relationships with people because my mind isn't wandering mid-conversation like it used to. Remember, there's a place for caffeine, right? It increases our performance, our alertness, our motivation, our energy, and our drive. And in sensible doses, caffeine consumption will be absolutely fine. But like any stimulant or drug, when it's abused, it will have negative consequences over a prolonged period of time. And if you're dependent on something like caffeine, where you physically can't function without it in your system, then I'd probably suggest that based on my experience, that you haven't got a healthy relationship with caffeine. And looking at society now, I don't think you need to be a rocket scientist to figure out why most people are just really anxious these days. I mean, culturally, if we look at what's changed over, say, the past 10 years, caffeine consumption is one of them. As a culture, most of us abuse it. And do I think that caffeine exacerbates anxiety? Maybe. What I will say though is that if you get anxious, I suggest you try lower doses of caffeine and see how you get on. I hope you enjoyed that video. I've had it in my list to put out over a long period of time, so let me know whether or not it's helped you in any shape or form. Let me know if you intend on having a caffeine deload or a break from caffeine. I'm not saying you need to go 15 months without caffeine, but definitely maybe try 30 days and see how you feel. And if you do, please let me know. I'm genuinely curious to see how you get on. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe. I'm Dan Davis, and I'll speak to you soon.